Test, check. 1, 2.
p.m. and let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. On to roll call here. Mrs. Walsh,
Here.
Mrs. Gray,
Here.
Mr. Bauer here, Mrs. Dowdellberger,
Here.
Mr. Kirschner.
Here.
On to item number 3, Treasurer Pro Tem. I would like to recommend to accept Mrs. Dowdellberger as Treasurer Pro Tem for this meeting. Can I get a second? Any discussion? On to roll call, please. And that will be me. Mrs. Walsh?
Aye.
Mrs. Gray?
Aye.
Mr. Bauer? Aye. Mrs. Dowdellberger?
Aye.
And Mr. Kirschner. Motion passes. All right, on to item B1, adoption of the attached agenda. Can I get a motion?
I so move.
A second.
Can you guys just give me a minute to set everything up? If
Yep.
I could have a few minutes, I can. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So let us know when you're ready.
Yes, thank you so much.
Who was the second, please?
Mrs. Walsh?
Thank you.
So it's a little confusing to me. Isn't that agenda the same as this agenda? Is that what you're saying? Or just the whole agenda?
This is for the adoption of the attached
Okay.
agenda.
The attached agenda or the agenda
Well,
as a whole?
it's the agenda, this whole thing that Mr. Kirschner had put together.
This agenda in front of us.
Correct.
Thank you.
Moved it forward. Okay, so this confuses me.
Real quick.
Yeah.
She's still
yeah.
trying to get set up.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry. Didn't mean. No rush.
So I first for the agenda approval, Mr. John Kirschner, and then I have Miss Kathy Walsh, correct? For second, correct?
That's correct.
And now we're on to discussion, correct?
Correct.
All right, I'm ready. Thank you.
So the agenda we're operating off of is not the agenda I sent. It's a somewhat similar. And when I sent in the attachment shown, I sent it to the treasurer and I said, I hope this is helpful. I'm just trying to keep it brief. I wasn't expecting it to be verbatim, and it's not. He's obviously cleaned up some errors as far as numbering and added the language for public participation, etc. So I would say that my attachment serves no purpose, and we are operating off the agenda in front of us. So I would amend the motion I would move to amend the motion to adopt the agenda that is here before us and discard any said attachment on page on the back page, because we're not actually operating off of that. So
Can I just recap to make sure I have these notes correct really quick? Because you went kind of fast.
Okay.
So you said the agenda that we're operating off of is not the agenda that was provided, and that you provided an agenda to the treasurer as a.
just as a guide, I said,
Okay.
Well-
I hope this is helpful, is what
Okay.
I said.
Well,
And then they created a full agenda, corrected my errors in numbering and lettering, and that's what we're operating off of. So I don't think that the actual Board of Education meetings, the PDF that I sent, served any purpose. We're not really operating off of that. So again, I move.
Hold on 1 second
Well-
before you get
well-
to there. 1 second, because let me get his motion, and then can I
Yeah.
go to your comment? Because
Yeah.
we'll need a second for that. I just want to make sure I document that
Yeah.
in real time. Just give
Right.
me just one moment. Thank you.
Yeah.
And you said the PDF does not certainly.
The PDF was sent as a reference, but it doesn't, as you can see, it doesn't match up with what we're actually using. I actually have A, B, B, D, C, D. So I made errors, but it also doesn't include vital language such as our public speaking policies, etc. So it doesn't really serve a purpose. It was just
Well, it does serve a purpose. Can I interrupt for a moment,
Yeah.
John? Could you look at F on this current agenda? It doesn't have the language that
Mr.
you
Which-
had on C.
Mr. President and board, if you could just give me one moment, and I appreciate everyone's commentary. Again, I am trying to make sure I
Oh.
capture our minutes appropriately. So I still had to document Mr. Kirschner's motion, Ms. Walsh, and then if we can get that seconded, or if that motion stays, get that voted on,
right.
then move on to the next discussion, because he did make a motion prior to the statement. Is that all right with you, Mr. President and Ms. Walsh?
Yeah, I just wanted to save time for him,
Yeah.
you
So
know, because that language
yeah,
isn't
I
on
see
there.
that. I see the error. I withdraw my motion. And
So you made a motion to make an amendment, and now you're withdrawing the motion?
yeah, I am, and I'm going to correct my motion. Okay. I move to accept utilize the agenda presented on the first two pages, and to incorporate from my agenda on the second page under C board items, the actual legal language for our reason to move to executive session, and to disregard any other portion of the PDF document that I created.
Okay, so I have the first part, and I didn't get the second part. I moved to accept. You asked to withdraw your motion, and then you made the second motion now to accept the agenda on the first two pages, and then the attachment on
The
the
first
back.
page is created by the district,
Okay,
and then to incorporate from the agenda I prepared, item C, board items, move to executive session, that actually states the required Ohio Revised Code and the reason for our executive session, into the district prepared agenda, and to discard the rest of my notes prepared agenda.
Sorry, can you clarify on the executive session portion? I believe it's in there.
can we get a second really quick, because we've got this motion. I want to make sure we get a second, and then,
Okay.
if there is one. Is there a second for this motion? So I have it as move to accept Mr. Kirschner.
Oh my gosh.
All right, so real quick, can I get everyone
Yeah.
real quick before we move forward? Can I get a second to this motion?
Do I need to read it?
No,
please.
because I'm
that's
I'm
fine.
withdrawing it because Kathy, hold on.
Can I interrupt, please?
Yeah.
My agenda is different than Libby's, I think.
It's on the bottom. It's there. It's there. Oh my gosh, you're killing me. I withdraw my motion.
Move, it's there on number
Yes.
E, John.
All right, Kathy, take it away. You make the motion.
So you're withdrawing your motion, Mr.
Yeah,
the
because
second
I was
motion.
incorrect. Yeah.
So
I was
sorry for all the
incorrect.
confusion. Just want
Okay.
to make sure it's done right.
Yeah,
We
I
don't wanna
now
get in trouble
move.
with
I'm gonna do
executive
this
session.
nice and slow. It's the last time. I pray it's the last time. I move that we accept the agenda prepared by the district as it is complete and accurate, and discard my agenda, which was just simply put together as a guide. Thank you.
I second.
All right, so I have Mr. Kirschner as first for this motion, Mrs. Walsh as second for this motion. On to discussion.
I will be voting no, as this violates our board policy, violation of the GMLEA contract, and it is my fiduciary responsibility to ensure that we do not subject the district to a unfair labor practice lawsuit. There are procedures that are to follow when a complaint is submitted to the board, and I believe those procedures were not followed.
And I would also be voting no
I
in
didn't know we were on
agreement
roll
with.
call. Yeah, I just wanted to roll call. I thought we were doing discussion, but okay, hold on 1 second. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Bauer.
Okay. So I do agree with Mrs. Gray in her assessment, and also I do believe that for a special meeting, we can only call it for what was noted on the special meeting notice, which was just for executive session. It does not include anything else.
So we weren't on roll call, but I'll just take those as discussion points because you didn't call roll call officially. So I assumed that this was discussion.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, there's
This
discussion.
is
I just wanted to make
yeah.
sure I was getting into this
Yep, this
discussion,
is
but I
not a
want,
vote yet.
thank you.
Yep.
Just want to make sure for the record. Just give me some, keep going. I'm just trying to make sure I keep up real quick.
So is it okay for me to go, Latoya? Are you caught up?
I'm still typing. Can you give it just a minute? No, I'm still typing.
Right. So, to reply to that, assumptions,
One second, Mr.
What?
Kirschner. I'm not ready. If I'm supposed to keep your note, the minutes.
okay,
So
yeah,
thank you so much. Just give me a few minutes.
that's fine.
Okay, I'm ready for you, Kathy.
All right, so what I was going to say is I was unaware that this executive session was regarding a GMLEA unit member. My understanding that it's not regarding a GMLEA unit member. So I'm confused as to why you would use that as a reason to vote no.
Do you have that, Latoya?
I'm still typing.
Okay.
Yep, ready next.
All right. So I would go on to comment that assumptions were made, presumptions were made. This a request to review documentation in executive session was presented as a public records request. Legal counsel didn't quite understand how that would be possible. Public doesn't have access to our executive session, so I don't see how that would be. But also, I understand, I think we all understand that our oversight is to the administration. So if we have a problem and we call an executive session to address an issue, I'm very aware that we're going to be addressing not the individual employee, but how our administration responds to the issue and to ensure that we have a response to the issue. So I just want to clarify that, and it's very interesting that the GMLEA was even engaged in this. In order to engage the GMLEA, someone had to go out on a limb and invent the idea that my request for information in an executive session was a public records request without even asking me. So it's pretty bizarre.
Well, I'm just going to respond one more time and just say that,
I'm getting it though. I'm getting it. You can go ahead. Yeah, I got it. Go back.
I had read through all the emails, the multiple emails that had gone back and forth, and my interpretation was the same, that it was going to be discussed of an employee, and certain documents were requested for us to review, and that is still a violation of the GMLEA contract.
It's also a violation for a person to make a whistleblower complaint of our contract, because if you're not willing to name your child or use your name, then any complaint is considered informal, even though our board policy says we have whistleblower protection. So item H of our contract with the teachers union is a gross embarrassment. Thank you.
All right.
Well,
Any other?
also, we're not. I want to know. You have two board members sitting here who called this meeting, and we're telling you that this was not to discuss a GMLEA contract employee. It is not. That was not the intent of this executive session. So, just because one of our administrators would like you to believe that it is, does not make it so. This is not what this was called for. This was called for to discuss employees, yes, but not any GMLEA employee.
And there also has to be a mechanism. I'm sorry, Latoya, let you catch up.
And we have a duty to keep our students safe. And this is a safety issue regarding our students. This is important.
Um, let me know when you're caught up, Latoya.
I'm ready.
Okay. I believe in most any legal counsel that we speak with will say there has to be a mechanism in place for the board to address issues like this when they are brought before us from the community. We may need to modify our board policies, but there has to be a mechanism where we can properly review these types of complaints and give direction to our administration. Thank you.
Well, I would like to say, Mr. Kirschner, it's kind of hard to address our board policies when our board president refuses to appoint board members to our policy committee.
All right. Any other discussion on that?
I think we beat it to death.
Okay. Yeah. And then you like to, and then I'd like to say a few things too. You can go first.
Yeah, so you can go. Let me just second.
Okay.
Let me finish this regard.
So I'm going to say this. Taking on the presidency role this year, it's been. I have tried to work with everyone here on a board to come together to consensus, and it becomes difficult when things like this occur. I think that we can agree to disagree at times, but at the end of the day, we are here to serve the district, to help serve the children, help serve the teachers, and also provide oversight to our administration. And I think that the name calling has got to stop. I'm tired of it. Frankly, I'm just speaking personally here. The accusations are it's unprofessional, in my opinion, as well. And I do disagree in the fact that, and I agree with what Mrs. Gray had said earlier, that I do believe that this is a violation and that what we have done, we've had a grievance brought forth to us regarding this as well. That is not to say that any one of us here does not care about the students or the safety of this district. So that's what I do have to say regarding that.
Okay, and I'll probably paraphrase. So for me, I have read all the emails, and one I want to apologize. I know I was behind with being out on bereavement leave recently and coming off medical leave, so I did get caught up, read everything. Also had looked at the policy and the contract as well with my background being in HR. But I will say, of course, all students are important. The situation is important, in whatever capacity. But my biggest concern is I know we have the 48-hour notice, and in order to have an effective board meeting, that wasn't, and I know we can call a special meeting, but I was not canvassed to see my availability. I don't know if our administration was. So in order for us to even discuss the matter that wished to be discussed, and I know you're stating it's not about any one specific, that's fine if that's your statement, but how do we even have the conversation about those things? And with our administration as well, when we did not verify
Right.
and try to coordinate schedules. And so we're here at 7 p.m. On a Friday, which we all show that we are here to do the work of the district because we got the notice. We all showed up regardless of what it was. I was supposed to be volunteering, at prom. I'm here, no problem, because this is important. But we're also missing a step because those individuals we're supposed to work with that do the day-to-day operations of
Mhm.
our district
Right.
weren't able to be present. And so that's very hard for me to have a effective meeting.
Mhm.
I'm down for the meeting, but let's make it effective. Let's make it produce something productive. And right now, it's just us five up here. We do have legal counsel here with us, and we have some members of the community as well as our IT professional. But how are we going to be able to be effective with that? And so I'm really struggling with that part, let alone all the other items that have been discussed on both sides of this topic this evening. So I just kind of want us to make sure that when we do that, that we're mindful, and that way we can get the best out of it, and give the best to our district by working with all parties and trying to canvas times and things like that. I didn't get asked. I just, when I got back into my email, it was, this is the meeting, this needs to
Right.
go out as is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't as if, and then I think there was something else that came, I think from you, Mr. Kirschner, you're like, well, I didn't get a response from anybody. I'm like, well, I wasn't really asked a question. So by the time I got through reading and caught up, I was never even asked. So I didn't understand that part about about no one's responded, but no one was asked. It was like, this is the meeting. You guys had already signed and agreed. So it wasn't like, and you have that right to call them. We have to publish that as the board and as admin. And we did just that. But there was not an opportunity for us to work together, as President Bauer is stating, so that we can be efficient and proactive. We're not always going to get along, which right now to the public, we look like we don't get along at all. That's fine as well. But one thing we can do is be productive and efficient. And in this case, that's kind of, that did not happen this evening.
Right.
And that's
yeah,
unfortunate.
and that is something we definitely need to work on. And I guess I would, and I didn't mean, I don't want it to go that way, but I would say welcome to my world after a year of how many times that's happened on my end. So, it's gone the other way, and I'll work harder. And Seth, so if I reach out to you, I need to hear back, and then we can coordinate and work on trying to coordinate schedules, etc. So I
Yeah.
will work harder on that. Thank
No, absolutely. And when you had emailed me, I was at work.
Mhm.
I didn't get home until that evening. I had meetings that evening, so I didn't get to respond to you until, I don't remember, was it 7:30, 8 o'clock that night?
Mhm.
Which was, let's see, 48 hours. So yes, that was yesterday, right? Yesterday night, I think, is when I was able to respond to you.
I don't know when you're able or not
So
able, but yeah.
So I mean, just going back to, I mean, if we can come together and make sure that the superintendent, the treasurer is available, that we can come together. When I called my special meeting the past month, I sent it out to the board a couple weeks in advance, tried to find the day where everyone was most likely available. So I think in the future, if we can work on that, again, we can agree to disagree. But if we can, just like what Mrs. Dowdleberger had said, find consensus around the parameters of scheduling the meeting that is productive, where we have our superintendent, where we have the treasurer here, I think that would be beneficial.
And I'll just add one more thing. And I understand that there are times we have to call emergency meetings or special meeting. And in this case, if that was the case, then it could have been more of an emergency meeting, not a special meeting.
Mhm.
But then again, if we needed those other parties, just that's just the biggest thing for me, because I definitely want to hear, but there are processes in place. And maybe this is a part of when we do boardmanship training and
Mhm.
our other things that we have to work on with this particular board on how that looks. But based off of what I saw, it did align with what Ms. Ray was stating in the information that I read and how I interpreted. So maybe you guys have made it clear tonight that that wasn't the angle, but that is how it reads.
I'm sorry. Could you say? I didn't understand what you were saying.
I said basically, I know that you're saying there the comment was made that this wasn't about a particular person, but when I read the emails or an incident, it seems as if it was. That is how I interpreted all the communication.
No, I didn't say it wasn't about a particular person. When you have,
Well, I thought Miss.
yeah,
Okay.
when you have, if you have a person, no, hold on, let me clarify. When you have a person, let's say that one of our employees came up and smacked me in the face, and everybody saw it, right? And I wanted to have a meeting about that. All right, hey, we need to stop this. What I'm saying is, I understand my role. Certainly, the person's already been called out to the board and made a scene in the public. So it's not really a secret. What I'm saying is I understand my role. It's not that we're coming to evaluate the employee. We're coming in to say, hey, what did you do at this point? What did you do at this point? What did you do at this point? Why are we now here? In this particular instance, you could see this train wreck coming 10 miles down the tracks. So I want to talk to the conductor. I'm not trying to have a conversation about the employee. I'm trying to understand how we prevent this from happening again, and why why we might have bad actors in our district when you can see the train wreck coming. You can see the damage coming. This is a management thing. I understand the difference. I really do. So of course, the employee was named. The employee is known. It is part of the equation. You can't subtract the employee out. However, what was said was, "Hey, here's a public records request, and here's the teacher's contract that says, oh, by the way, if you don't want to front out Johnny, your your complaint isn't even valid. We'll treat it as an informal complaint." And so now we have a grievance. So that's where we're at. And I don't agree with Section H. I think it's ridiculous. However, they can grieve it if they want. Point is, you've got to be able to address this. If someone comes up and harms me, if someone harms one of the kids, we have to, as a board, be able to address it. And you can pull up all kinds of arguments and policies and say, oh, no. But we got to be able to get our attorney come in here, and that's what we're doing. So, thank you.
Yeah, and I
And
definitely don't think,
we
I-
are all here today. We are all here. We can go back there and discuss
Okay.
this and plan for what to do next.
Okay.
and I was just gonna say, I don't think anyone is saying that we are anti the discussion. I think the issue I would have for me to do my job, like how you all need what you need, I would definitely want to have those individuals at the table. And then secondly, I understand that, you may not have a preference for Section H, and outside of this situation, when we do have a union, we want to be mindful because remember, this is also public facing for both the parent and future prospects for our district. And so that's the other thing to consider. We want to make sure we are definitely looking into whatever needs to be looked into, but then there's also a way that we go about that,
Mhm.
because then we're a district that we have some turnover
I totally
as
agree.
far as with pay and other things like that. And then if this is the look and make of the board, how will we be able to recruit and retain folks? And I'm not saying this instant, but I'm just saying how we keep going about it. We do what we need to do, but the look and feel of this doesn't show, professionalism, in my opinion, how I would go about it. And I don't also think I would have, like I said, would have liked to have had, I'm great, our legal counsel's here, but I would wanted to have all parties so we really could have an effective, productive conversation. So I'll yield back. I will probably have additional questions on these meeting minutes. So I do ask right here while I'm speaking to have grace from everyone on the meeting minutes, but I will do my best to clean these up the best I can. But I definitely wanted to put that on the record.
I'd like to understand your comment about turnover. What that has to do with what we're doing right now.
Well, we're
I
talking
don't
about
quite understand
process.
the comment.
Okay.
It was going really fast,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
it's hard for me to follow.
No problem. So the comment was made by Mr. Kirshner about not really liking Section H of our GMLEA contract. And it's very important, especially during the time of public education, which some people
Right.
may want to defund public education, and that may be their role here. That, it's not for me to decide. However, when we have things like that stated, it does put a precedence out here in the community as we're looking to recruit and or retain what that looks like.
Right.
And that's all I was saying. I'm just making sure she understood. So
Yeah,
it's
we
not-
sat in a session once where legal language was thrown in front of us, and I caught a flaw that was going to fly through because it didn't apply to law. And there is language in our teacher's contract that says, they can write whatever they want, but it has to also adhere to state law. So there are whistleblower protections. So item H does not stand all by itself. And the contract would even state that. So I'm glad legal counsel is here. Hopefully we get some of those cleared up. Hopefully we get some insights here on how to make better policy and how to address this. So I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
So just to make sure I have this down for the motion, which we'll vote on before you call roll call, Mr. President. The final motion was that Mr. Kirshner now moves to accept the agenda prepared by the district as complete and accurate, and completely, and disregard the agenda that was attached, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I had that right. So this would be the 2 pages on that we have in front of us, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Let me know you're ready.
And so, this is to vote on adoption of the agenda.
Yep.
And- Right?
It's the the third motion, because the first 2 were withdrawn. And so the motion is he moved that we accept the agenda prepared. So basically it is the first motion, but it's technically the third amended technically. I'm being honest. I mean, because the first motion was what was here, right? Then he made 2 motions and withdrew those. And then he made the next motion to basically accept the agenda as prepared that as by the district as it is complete and accurate, and to completely disregard the agenda that is attached.
Yes, 2 motions were withdrawn, so we just have the 1 motion. Okay. And, so I've heard that a couple members are saying they want to vote no, they want to kick this down the road, or do they not want to have any action at all? Do they want to schedule a
We
meeting
haven't
to
done-
discuss this? What's the,
1 second. I'll do roll call in just 1 moment, Miss Walsh, okay?
that was just part of the discussion. I was just trying to have a discussion on.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead. So what is that? So I can get that. I wasn't in that section.
Fine.
So you have additional comments, Miss Walsh? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was just in that section. I went back up to do the roll call part, but I'll gladly take whatever comment you have and put in
No,
there.
no, I'm good. I said I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
Oh, I did want to let you know that Nate is recording this, so you can always pick all the stuff on the recording. He can send it to you, make it a little easier for you.
All right. On to, are you ready?
Yes. So can I ask a question since we have legal counsel here really quick?
Sure.
So in this case, really the original motion is what we ended up landing on. Do I need to do anything in the meeting minute notes to strike the third motion since it really reverts back to the first motion? Okay. Thank you. So with that, we're voting on the just the adoption of the agenda as is. The third motion is no longer necessary as it concurs with the original motion. Is everyone clear on that? Are you ready for roll call, Mr. Treasurer? I mean, Mr. President, I can
Yes.
go ahead.
Yep.
Mr. Kirshner? Ms. Walsh?
Aye.
Ms. Gray?
No.
Mr. Bauer?
No.
And Ms. Dowdell-Berger? No. I would like to make a motion, though, just to go into executive session as outlined on the agenda, because that is what was noticed in the meeting notice to the public. Do I have a second?
Could you repeat that? I'm not
I
following.
would like to make a motion to just go into executive session as noted on the special meeting notice.
We don't.
Oh,
have
I'm
the
gonna read it.
agenda.
I'm sorry. I have to read it. I'm sorry. So I would like to make a motion that aligns with the meeting notice that went out to go into executive session for the purpose of to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, regulated individual, unless the employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual request a public hearing by Division G1 of Section 121.22 of the revised code.
Second.
I'm just like very confused right now. Oh, are you caught up? I'm sorry.
I'm ready for discussion. Go ahead, Kathy.
So we didn't adopt the agenda
Mhm.
and you're making a motion to add the next item, to add what was on the agenda.
No,
Well,
we're just going
I
into
was
executive session without adopting the agenda.
the special meeting notice that was put out did not list, it lists the purpose only for that and not the other items. And so, if I'm correct, and we have legal counsel here, if we would have, we would have violated Ohio Sunshine. Okay, so my thought was if the special meeting notice that you two signed has that purpose as I just read, I don't want to read the whole thing again, then we can go in for that reason. And I didn't have a second. So then that would then meet what the special meeting notice that was sent out 2 days ago. Is that the problem?
Uh,
Ms. Walsh?
No,
Could-
go on.
Real, could,
This
just,
is
we have our legal
silly.
counsel here. Can you come up and explain it, is it, if this is allowable, and thank you. Yes, yes, please.
I mean, I guess my question is, why wouldn't we just delete the things we didn't want on the agenda and then adopt the agenda with the stuff we wanted on? It seems like a silly, we'll go around.
So what would you like me to explain about whether or not you can still go into executive session? So the um the motion was a proper motion to go into executive session. I didn't hear if it was seconded or not.
It was
Yes, I
Mr.
second.
Kirshner.
I think it was seconded
It
by
was, yes,
Mr.
ma'am.
Kirshner.
Yes, thank you.
You have the ability to go into executive session because that was what was contained on the special meeting notice. It would be a violation of open meeting law for you to do anything other than address a motion to go into executive session for the purpose, because that is the only item that was contained on the notice of the special meeting. Now, if you have other reasons that you believe you shouldn't be going into executive session, that's what you can discuss as you discuss this motion and make a determination about how you're going to vote on the motion to go into executive session.
And my question is, couldn't we have just taken the agenda we had, taken off the things that we didn't want and adopt the agenda with just those items, with just executive session on it?
So you're asking whether at the onset could you have modified the agenda?
Correct.
There wasn't a motion to modify the agenda.
Okay.
Somebody could have made a motion to modify I mean, I guess there actually were 3 motions
Yeah.
to modify, but there wasn't a motion described in the way that you are asking.
Okay.
Somebody could have made a motion and
Yeah.
modified the agenda, but that didn't happen.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And for me, I'll be honest with doing both. I wasn't. I was trying to make sure I got everybody's thing, but I didn't want. For me, I wanted to make sure I went back to my board hat to make sure I spoke from my convictions. So if that was confusing to you, Ms. Walsh, that wasn't intentional, but trying to do this and make sure I capture as much as I can for the notes for this evening, in addition to speaking my convictions as well. So that was not anything intentional. It was just, hey, let me just make sure this and pull my other note up. If you're ready for roll call, Mr. President, we can do roll call this time.
Well,
Or if there's more
I still have
discussion.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to still state my concerns with this regarding the grievance filed, as previously stated. I don't know if anyone else shares that concern.
Yeah, I still say that if basically what is being said here, that the reason we're going to an executive session, it still violates the GMLEA contract, and I am not comfortable whatsoever and will not participate if there does go into executive session, because I am not going to be one that is causing the district to be sued.
Are all our employees under the GMLEA contract?
All certified. All
That's,
certificate
the question
employees,
was, are all our employees under the GMLEA contract?
all the certified
Every-
employees. So, teachers.
Does this
and
motion say
and-
certified employee?
So
what the topic was, so.
Nope,
And
nope.
since we have legal counsel here, can you clarify this? They have a grievance based on the idea that my request for documentation, which could be Title IX, et cetera, very supervisory level reports, to be provided in executive session, that in order for them to grieve and this to be presented to them as a grievance, it had to be presented as a public records request. And a sitting board member asked for documentation in an executive session. How does this grievance even come to fruition when I'm not making a public records request? And it should be, I think it's pretty obvious that I wasn't making a public records request. And then, so is your interpretation that basically if something like this happens, that the union gives us the stamp of approval when we can have this meeting or not? I mean, how does this work? Yeah, please.
So I can't comment about the grievance itself.
Right.
And we shouldn't talk about the details of
Okay.
the complaint or the grievance here in open public session. I guess I'm not sure then what it is that you're asking me to comment on.
Well, basically, we're being told that we are violating a teacher's contract simply by having an executive session to look at a public safety problem where I asked for relevant files to be available in an executive session. Would you say true or false? That is a violation of the contract. We don't have that ability unless maybe the superintendent and the union agree that we have that ability. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out.
So to me, it doesn't sound like it's clear all the way around what the purpose of the conversation in executive session was. If the purpose, if it sounds like the teachers union believed it was for one purpose, and that's why the grievance was filed.
Mhm.
It sounds like maybe you're saying the purpose was a different purpose.
Right, based on our policy. So in order to accept the argument that's being given, you must assume that I'm ignorant and have never been a board member before and don't know my job. And I think that it's my job to individually investigate an employee, right? So that's the limb you have to go on. Or obviously these exemptions for executive session are here for a reason, right?
So the provisions to go into executive session are absolutely there for a reason. However, you've got a unique contract for your district related to records for members covered by your school district. And as board members, it is your obligation to abide. I mean, this is your contract, your management, the board's contract with the union. It's your obligation to abide by that contract.
Right.
Could you explain that unique provision?
Which unique provision?
When you just said the unique, we're covered by a unique, hold on, I gotta scroll back up. However, you got a unique contract or district related to records for members covered.
Oh, I'm
Could
sorry.
you
So
explain that?
sure. All that I was saying is that every single school district has their own unique negotiated contract with their own union. I'm sorry if that was
I
confusing.
just wonder, what is ours? You were referencing ours, so I'm wanting to know what ours is.
Groveport Madison has your own contract that you, the board, has negotiated with your union.
Right.
That's all I meant.
Right. So
But it's
and
for
you're
a
not,
public record, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. The contract is
Right.
a public record. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're asking me.
Then
Well, I guess she's asking for what you said you're already not going to provide, which is you don't want to have a discussion as to whether or not we're in violation. Is that correct?
You've got a pending grievance. I can't give
Right.
you any
Okay.
opinion about, I mean, that grievance has got to go
Which,
through the
which,
process.
which let me point out, let's just suppose that we have an administration who doesn't want to shed light on this. Look at the mechanism that was just created, right? Look at the mechanism. You have to go out on a limb and say this board member is acting as a member of the public and here's a public records request. So here you go, union president, and therefore you have a grievance and therefore you have a stumbling block. And I'm sorry, I'd love to look at it a different way, but I can't see it through another lens.
And
Because this is not my first rodeo in trying to get public records and trying to get access. So thank you.
And so if I could say, I think this is where it gets to deadline, and I only asked for that to be there for this under the guise that we were going to discuss process.
Okay.
So I'm not here to discuss anything about any person. I am not trying to violate any GMLE contract. That is not the intention. But we did put out a special meeting notice to our community,
Yep.
and that is what I'm trying to stick to. And then you both have said it does not deal with the person, hence where okay, fine, let's discuss whatever dealing with the process on the management side on how things are handled. That's different. But it's also, for us as board members, when we make those statements like that, as if someone is intentionally or implying we are putting out false narratives until we have factual information. So to say that, oh, administration is not trying to shed light, we've not, I mean, it's only, if it's regarding anything we received, we've gotten updates about things. There's been nothing but multiple, I can count at least 15 or so emails within the last couple of days. So I still stand on, I'm definitely not trying to speak on that. We do have legal counsel here, which we're paying for. So if we're here to have that discussion, let's do that about the management side or whatever you talked about that you're trying to do the process piece. But if that's not what we're not trying to do, then we shouldn't. And if we're going to spin it a different way, I don't think that's the right thing to do. And maybe we should wait. So that's my stance. But I'm really trying to come in good faith this evening, but it seems like it's one way is saying this and one way saying that, and all I'm saying is the statement that was made this evening was that no, it's not about this, it's distinctly about the process and the management side and what we're going to do as a board, and we have legal counsel here. Fine, then let's move forward with that. But this other stuff of if the administration is trying to gaslight and that's not good, especially like I said, and if those are those issues, those are things that we need to discuss in executive session with our legal counsel appropriately so those things can be addressed. But to do that this way, that doesn't look good for the district as a whole, especially as we are in the recruitment phase. Thank you.
I just would like to make a comment that the reason for the executive session says that to consider the appointment, the employment, the dismissal, the discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges and complaints against a public employee. So in my mind, that is talking about a certain employee. It's not talking about process. It's talking about an employee.
All right.
But it
Therefore,
doesn't say that
violates.
it's talking about a GMLEA employee or a certified employee. That's not, I don't see that in there. We know we can't do that. Our attorney's telling us we
we
can't
could
do
be
that.
meeting to promote.
That's not what it's
Right.
about.
We could be meeting to promote an employee or official or investigating of charges or complaints
I know, and I read
Right.
that against an
against
employee.
a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual. Okay, so
So,
official. So if we want to know, this is what we do. We have two officials that we manage, a treasurer and a superintendent. It's right there. If I want to understand what you're doing and how we keep our students safe from bad actors, how we avoid hiring, how we avoid hiring or why we've hired bad actors that were fresh off suspension or whatever it is. If I want to know that, this is the mechanism.
And that does not mean GMLEA exclusively employees. That's not who
Looks
we
like-
exclusively.
Looks like you
many
have something you
employees in
wanna
our
say.
district who are not GMLEA employees.
Yeah, just need to be careful about specifics related to.
There's nothing specific related to this particular person that I just said. Honestly, there isn't. That doesn't, the example I gave is not applying to this situation, just so you know. Thank you, though. I appreciate it.
I just want to say as we close this up, this is my last comment. This is important to me to discuss this non-GMLEA employee.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
important.
Well, we've certainly covered every side of this, and I think we understand each other's opinions and positions. Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Oh, sorry. All right. Is everyone ready? On to roll call, please. Actually, can you restate the motion?
Yes, I can restate the motion. We just finished. So now, my motion is to move into enter into executive session to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official, or the investigation of charges or complaints against a public employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual, unless the employee, official, licensee, or regulated individual requests a public hearing by Division G1 of Section 121.22 of the revised code. May I ask legal counsel if I can add to that, or do I have to leave it just like that? I can. Thank you. I'm ready for roll call.
On to roll call, please.
Mr. Kirshner?
Was that Mr. Kirshner?
Yes. Mr. Kirshner? Ms. Walsh?
Aye.
Mr. Bauer?
No.
Ms. Gray?
No.
Ms. Dowdleberger? Aye. Motion passes.
Motion passes. It is 7:54 p.m. We will reconvene, or we're going into executive. There is no action after.
Yes. Do we know when Libby Gray had left the meeting? All right.
All right, it is 9 p.m. and we are back from open session, executive session. On to adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Dowdell-Berger as first and Mrs. Walsh as second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. On to a roll call, please.
Mr. Kirschner,
Point of clarification. Are we adjourning executive session or the meeting, please?
we are reconvened from executive session at 9 p.m. Now we are adjourning for the meeting. Meeting adjournment right now.
Okay.
I was first, Ms. Walsh was second, and now we're on the roll call. Mr. Kirschner,
Aye.
Ms. Walsh,
This is to adjourn the meeting, right?
correct.
Correct.
Aye.
Mr. Bauer,
Aye.
Ms. Gray is not here as she did not participate in executive session, as well as Mr. Bauer. So we have no vote for her this evening for adjournment. And Ms. Dowdell-Berger, aye.
All right, it is 9:01 p.m. and we are adjourned.